What's up, everybody? This is Elan Jones. Happy New Year. I'm happy to be back. This is my first video of the new year. Hope you had a good holiday. Hope everything is good with you. So, I want to start this year off with a foundation. And I want to talk about something that I call the spectrum. This is my spectrum. This is my theory. So, here I have a spectrum of personality types that I believe are causing the most harm in our society. Now, I've talked about a few of them already, more than a few times, but I'll be introducing these other two. Of course, they're all related. It is in terms of severity and IQ. So I'm going to get into this. The reason why I'm talking about it, I want to make this clear. I don't get off on diagnosing people. No, I don't get off on pushing labels on people. And people really hate to be labeled, right? Especially if you actually are one of these personality types. You're going to hate it if somebody identifies you as what you are. Right? So I can understand that. People online hate labels, but labels are important because these people operate in a very specific way. If you only do your research and look it up, you'll see there's a method to their madness. These people are definitely online here with us, and they're definitely in our community. Not just the white community or white society. There are black people who have antisocial personality traits and who fall here and here. Okay, so before I go in depth about that, I want to give the results of the IQ test. First off, that was not an IQ test. I tricked you. That was a personality assessment. That test was assessing you for antisocial personality disorders, which is what they call these two personality types. These two make up antisocial personality disorders. Now, if you said red hammer, then according to them, you would make up 98% of the population. If you didn't, then you make up 2% of the population. I don't know where they get that number from, because these people make up 4% of the population. These people make up 1% of the population. So it would be about 5%, but it doesn't really matter. Basically, if you said anything other than red hammer, then you're a sociopath or a psychopath. Now, I'm going to explain why you may or may not be one if you didn't say red hammer. So I said red hammer, but I'm also a person who does not like math. I don't like tests. I don't like the unknown too much. I don't like time constraints. All of these things would make me anxious, and a personality like mine anxious. And there were math problems. They weren't hard, but you didn't know how much time you would have to solve them. You didn't know if they would get harder as time went on. If you don't like math, automatically you're kind of going to be panicked when the test starts. If you don't like tests, automatically you're going to be a little anxious. So when you're anxious, you're going to think of the color red. The color red is associated with anxiety, danger, bad. If you thought of hammer, hammer is the most used tool. So that naturally would be the very first thing that pops up in your head when you're asked that question. So red hammer, if you're like me. If you're not like me, if you're really good at math, right? So you don't have to be a psycho to be really good at math. But if you're really good at math, then you're going to be a little bit more calm when you're taking the test. You might say blue, hammer. You know, you're going to think of the color blue, which is associated with calm and, serenity, things like that. But you still said hammer. Your brain is still like, quick, I need to think of an answer, which shows anxiety. If you said gold hammer, you're getting more creative with your answer. That means you were less fazed by the test. The more creative your answer, the more obscure of a tool you choose, then the less fazed you are by the test, the more calm you were with the entire situation. This is important because these two personalities don't break a sweat really in any situation. They don't get their feathers ruffled in any situation, especially this personality type. They feel like they have everything under control, and this is why these types of people are the most successful in our society. So my subscribers may or may not be psychopaths or sociopaths. I'm really hoping that you're just really good at math and you feel like you had everything under control. You know, basically, you give me a creative answer, you give me an answer like blue wrench or gold saw or something like that. That means that you're comfortable with the test, you're comfortable with whatever it is that came along, whatever it is that was going to be thrown at you, which means that you work well under pressure and you're more likely to be the type of person that feels like they're in control of their environment and their reality and external things overall. So the spectrum, it goes from lower IQ to higher IQ, the psychopath being the most intelligent, the narcissist being the least intelligent out of everybody on the spectrum, even though they wouldn't think that. So there's the narcissist. I've spoken about the narcissist and the borderline a lot. It's narcissist, there's the borderline over here. Borderlines, females are 4 times more likely than males to be borderline. That's why this is a female. But there are male borderlines, especially in our community. There are true male borderlines in our community, and then there are men who are less effeminate who would qualify for this label, sociopath, which I believe is the male version of the borderline. This person is more sophisticated than the borderline overall, they're smarter than the borderline. They are more ruthless than the borderline. Now, the borderline, as far as morality is concerned, the borderline is half good, in my opinion. Half empath. This person is half of an empath. An important thing about empaths. Empaths share the same brain wiring as the rest of these personality types. So empaths find that they have a lot in common with these personality types. And they usually end up dating and or marrying people on this spectrum. I'm going to refer to these people as spectrum people, or these disorders rather, as spectrum disorders from this point on. So the empath is usually paired with one of these people. If you recall from my Lauren Chen video, I had this whole family tree or this family dynamic that had some of these personality types on it. Actually, I think all of them are on it. And that explains things a little bit more. So the borderline is half of an empath because they're definitely sympathetic, empathetic, compassionate, just really good people. Really have the traits of a very good woman. So they know what that's like. So they're able to be that when they're trying to attract people, because it is legitimately a part of them, right? Borderlines are known for being really hot women. So that's a true part of themselves that they're able to showcase. But then there's a very, very dark part of themselves that can be very ruthless, very evil, have no remorse, no empathy whatsoever, no accountability whatsoever, extremely impulsive. and destructive, liars. That part comes out, in my opinion, because I haven't found any literature to back this up. That part of them comes out when there is a hormonal shift. Borderlineism is hormonal imbalance plus trauma history. And the hormonal imbalance accounts for the polarity in mood. So this is often mistaken for bipolar disorder, because one minute they could be fine, the next minute they're doing something crazy. It's the same for the sociopath. The sociopath also has this hormonal abnormality, except it's not going to be as extreme as the borderline because she is female. And women just naturally have a fluctuation of hormones. The borderline also may be diagnosed with PMDD, premenstrual dysphoric disorder, where maybe a week or a week and a half before her period, she's lucky if she makes it out alive by the time her period comes, because it's such a chaotic time. She's ready to kill you. She's ready to kill herself. It's really crazy. It's because of the fluctuation of hormones, but then it balances out usually when her period comes. Maybe in the middle of the week, day 4 or something like that. Things will go back to normal. And then the same thing happens the next month, which it's terrible. And I wish that there was like a concrete solution or cure for this, but the medical community doesn't care enough about, in my opinion, they don't care enough about women to really figure this out and devote money and time to researching this. They don't want to help the borderline. And I believe that that's because doctors and whoever else would come up with the cure and the answer, they're over here. And they're in competition with you over here. You. That's why they set things up so that they're on top. They are the most successful in our society. They deliberately set things up so that they're comfortable and they stay on top. Now, moving on. Supply. All of these people need supply to survive, basically. If they lose supply, it ends in suicide, usually. If they have absolutely no supply left, it will end in suicide. Like someone like this who goes to jail and they're in solitary confinement, like for real, usually these people, they need supplies so badly that they end up hurting the person who serves them the lunch through the little slot. Like they'll stab their hand. It's like, oh my gosh, how could someone be so vicious and evil? It's not really about that. It's about doing that action gives them the supply that they need to survive. If there was no slot and there was nothing in that cell with that person, usually they commit suicide. So they need supply. Supply could be in the form of hurting other people. It's definitely in the form of hurting other people. Being in competition with other people, that's a major one. Tricking people, conning people. Things like that. More will come to me later. Cheating on people. Lying to people. For this person over here, since nothing really phases them because they're so smart, they feel like they have everything all figured out. There's no morality over here. There's a tiny bit left when you get here, but there's zero over here. So this person gets bored very easily. That's a common denominator for everyone. So the boredom leads to the never-ending search for supply. Since nothing phases them, they just think the most extreme thing they can do is kill people. And that's what they end up doing. Not every single psychopath. There are psychopaths that get their supply in other ways, thank God. But some of them just enjoy ending people's lives. And that's the evil part of these personality types. They like to end life. The complete opposite of what God created and provides. They want to destroy it. That is what evil is. That's the root of all evil. And ego is a part of that. That's the root of all ego. Evil, not money or anything else that people want to say. It's the ego. All of these people have a huge ego. All of these people do things to feed their egos. That supply that they need, whatever it is that they do to the person or the supply, the source of supply, that feeds their ego. So it could be something as heinous as giving people HIV. Right? This is something, they would do that deliberately because they know that you will never forget them if you contract HIV from them. Their name will always be in your head. You will always remember them for that. They also want to hurt you, but it's more so they just want you to never forget them. All of these people, well, these two, they have an extreme fear of abandonment. So they like to do things like get you pregnant and then leave right after so that you never forget them, leave you with a baby so that you never forget them. You know, all of these things are a mystery to society. Why is there an epidemic of men, usually over here and here, just getting women pregnant and leaving them? That's a part of the reason why. You slept with a sociopath, you slept with a narcissist, or a borderline, and they want to do something evil to you, and they want you to never forget them. And that calms their abandonment issues. They know that they have a lifelong source of supply, or at least for 18 years, because you have their child. It's like a stain that they put on you. So I mentioned that these people are pattern people. Or maybe I didn't. Okay, these are pattern people. The way that their brains work, they can identify patterns very quickly, very easily, and this also means that they quickly and easily get bored with the pattern. They don't see people as human beings. They see them as walking patterns, objects that are, just patterns. Like you're like a code, a walking code to them, like in the sci-fi movies or thrillers. That's how they see people. They don't see you as a human being. You're a pattern. If they learn you, they get bored and then they do something to you. So a part of staying safe from these personality types is you have to constantly throw them off. I may have mentioned this in another video that I haven't put out yet, but the hypergamy channels, for example, these women know about these personality types because they deal with men who make a lot of money, right? And you're going to be over here. You're really going to be over here if you make a lot of money. And that also comes with this personality type. You're also going to be this personality type. Not 100% of the time. Some people are successful and they're not a psychopath. It's definitely possible, but most of them are one of these personality types. These are very smart people. These are people that really make it far in life. These are very successful people. These are very well-known people. Actors, entertainers, lawyers, doctors, whomever that's very successful. They all fall on the spectrum. So these people and these people, there are so many of these people. And they also make money, not as much as them, but they make money. You can live a hypergamous lifestyle with these people. And all of these women's tips are tailored to a personality like this, appealing to a personality like this, learning how to be in a relationship with a personality like this, learning how to get someone who is like this to date you. They know what these personalities are like. Usually this one is with this one romantically. And in order for you to know them that well, you must be somewhere here. You must share those traits. You must share that same brain wiring. They are smarter than this one, so they're able to manipulate them. So yeah, they would have all those tips. They could also be here too, but these people aren't into manipulation and things like that. So all of these people need supply to survive. You don't want to be a source of their supply. If you are here, please inform yourself about these personality types, which I will be talking way more about. I really want people to be able to identify them. So you can stay safe. That's the whole point. Do not be naive. Do not think you could fix them. Okay? You are actually very powerful. You are over here, really. You're smarter than this person. Why? Because this person doesn't naturally understand how people work. They have to imitate emotions, imitate people. Everything with them is learned. Everything with them is learned. In my IQ video, I talk about the left side and the right side of the brain, the left side being education dependent, meaning that everything that's in their brain, everything that they know and that they're able to do comes from something that they were taught. It doesn't come intuitively. That's the job of the right side of the brain. So if these people think primarily on the left side, and these people pretty much have this duality where they think on the left and the right side, then they're not really, like, they have to learn people in order to trick them. They have to imitate people, and it could come off as insincere and fake, especially if this person attempts to do it and this person attempts to do it. These people are very good at it. Sometimes you just never know. But that's because they're half of this. These people are these people. It's like right brain dominant, really. But they do have left brain capabilities as well. So they're over here. They don't have to fake things. They don't like to fake things. These are good people. But they're very smart. They're very capable of manipulating if they want to. They just choose not to. But it's within them. So these people end up losing all the time. All the time. Because they refuse to resort to what these other people have no problem with doing. I think that needs to change. No, you don't have to cross over to the dark side. You don't have to do things that are bad. But I think that these people could be way smarter about how they are. You, empath, can choose who you present to the world. You can. Depending on the situation, you might need to pretend to be something that you're not. Taking the ultimately moral route won't benefit you. These people are ready to off you, always. And you are such good supply for these people. You have to be armed. You have to keep yourself safe. So you have to get smarter about things. These people currently, as a collective, are being eaten alive by these other personality types. So something needs to change.